In this lesson, we'll talk about content creation. With the Signage Studio and Signage Player, you can play the most popular file formats like MP4 and FLV videos, JPEG and transparent PNGs. You can use your favorite applications like Photoshop and Flash, HTML5 and Illustrator to create these file formats and simply upload them to the Signage Studio and include them in your Signage presentation. And you can create backgrounds and masks using the same file formats that you've imported. We do have video tutorials that specifically explain how to create the backgrounds and masks. And so in this video tutorial, we'll show you 3 different ways to create your content. We'll focus on the scene editor, just show you a little bit of what you can do with the scene editor. We'll also talk about Flypaper, which is a great application that you can subscribe to and also create Flash compatible SWF files and import those into our system. And it will also show you Bannersnap, which is another great application that you can use to create content. So if you create an image, let's say a transparent PNG in Photoshop, and you wanted to upload that into the presentation, you simply upload the file from the resources module, and then you can use it directly on the timeline, dragging and dropping the image, double click to load up the properties, and you can use it within the presentation. However, right now this image will occupy the full area of the red channel, so it would go just about here. If I zoom out a little bit, it's going to occupy this image the full screen division right here. But what if I wanted to add another label just below the today's menu? I would actually have to add additional screen divisions. So again, if I double click on the image, if I wanted to put a label right about here, I would have to add additional screen divisions to do that. One option is to not use the image and instead use a scene, because a scene is a canvas where you can mix multiple objects. I can put labels and images. So the scene editor allows me a lot greater flexibility to mix all these components together. So let's go ahead and delete this image right here and switch to the scene editor. Go over here to navigation and click on the scene editor. So let's go ahead and create a new scene. Click on the plus sign right here and we'll go ahead and rename this scene. Go ahead and just make a little bit more room here. We'll call this our test scene and press enter. And next we are going to start dragging some components. So we're going to go back to the resources just like before and drag the same image just like before. But now we have full control over the position of this image. So we can actually make it as big or as small as we want. And if you wanted to put a label just on top of it, we'll switch to the components, go over to the label and drag and drop that on top of the image. And with the scene editor, you can do things like multi-selection. So you can move things, you can multi-resize if you need to. You can align components with the different tools you have here on top. You can also set properties for the scene. So if I select the scene background and then go to the properties under common, I can do things like set a border. I can also set the background. Maybe set a gradient background. So the scene editor gives you a lot more control over the position of the different objects as well as mixing different objects together. So if I wanted to put dynamic components like an RSS, for example, I can switch to my components again, look for my RSS component, and so I went ahead and added additional dynamic content. If I wanted to change the properties for the RSS, just go back to its RSS tab and I can set things like the color and the fonts. So again, just mixing multiple components. So you can really easily create content within the Signage Studio. And to take advantage of this scene within our timeline, we'll switch back to the timelines. We're going to go and switch back to the scenes. Here's the test scene that we created. We'll go ahead and drag and drop that to whatever channel we want. Double click to load up its properties. And here's the scene that we created with the label and also the image. And if we make a little bit more room here, we'll also see the RSS right here. So all the content now coexists within a single screen division. And so now that we covered the basics of the scene editor, let's go ahead and jump into Flypaper and show you how to create content using the Flypaper Studio. What's great about the Flypaper solution is that it allows you to very easily create a presentation and create animation and add multiple dynamic objects even if you don't know how to code. Also, what's great about the solution is that you can very easily create a kiosk or a touch screen compatible presentation and use that within the Signage Studio and the Signage Player. So essentially what you can do is create forms and create buttons and create interactive objects that allow you to flip from one page to the next and create an interactive design without really having to worry about the code underneath. And so with the flypaper solution, you have a lot of different templates to choose from. Right here we're looking at the fly library, and we can actually switch from different pages and pick whatever template we like. So if we just wanted to add a second page, we can select, right click, and go add to project. This adds a second page. So right here, if we select the second page, you can see that this was added to our presentation. And if we wanted to go ahead and maybe add a button just to show you how the navigation works, we will go over here to the buttons from the top, click on buttons to select it, add a button anywhere, and we'll go ahead and go to the properties and tell that anytime this button is clicked, we'll actually jump directly to the quick serve menu. Now let's go ahead and preview this. We'll click on the project play button and we'll see our first page. It's nicely animated. Click on the button right here, which will take us to the second page, which is the food menu board. Now keep in mind that you're building the presentation, you want the width and the height of the presentation to fit the screen division that you're going to run the presentation in. So once the first page is selected, we'll actually go to the properties and select the project properties, and you can see that this page was designed for 1024 by 768. So as long as this page, this Swift that we'll produce, will run in a screen division that's 1024 by 768, we're not going to get any content skewing and everything will look proper. Some of the other cool things you can do with the flypaper are the flyberry components. So let's go ahead and switch to the flyberry components. And you can see right here that we have a lot of different dynamic components that we can choose from. So we'll actually go ahead and create a new project. And we'll actually make sure that this project is set to a pretty small size. So maybe we'll set it to be 600 by 600. So a pretty small project. Switch back to the flyberry. And we're going to go over here and select the image scatter and drag and drop that. And then go over here to the images and drag and drop some images. Preview this. So you can see that now we have some images, and again you can click on them to interact with the different objects. And the best part is that once you're happy with your content, all you have to do is go over here to publish, select the publish to single Swift. You can just name it whatever name you want, and we'll go ahead and set to be full screen. We don't want any of the controls, so you want to check this off, and you just click on publish. Again, you just give it a name and save, and this will produce a single Swift that you can upload into the Signage Studio and use within your presentation. So now we're back to the Signage Studio. Let's go ahead and upload the Swift that we produced and see how well it works. So we'll switch to the resources, click on the plus and upload from local. We'll go ahead and select the Swift that we produced. And next, this is a very important step. Before you actually do file save, you want to make sure that you select the resource for third-party Swift compatibility. So you want to switch over here to the project2.swift that we just selected, and you want to make sure you enable the third-party Swift. And only after you've done that, you want to make sure you click on file save. This will ensure that this file gets to be compatible within the system once it gets uploaded. And now the file is downloading. Let's go ahead and make a little bit more room here. And here's the Swift, and now we can interact with it just like we did in the Flypaper Studio. Let me go and show you just a few more projects that were done using Flypaper. Here's a menu board. Again, you can click on the different food menu items and just preview the selection. Here's a shopping mall directory. And energy drink. So hopefully now you understand a little bit more about Flypaper and how you can incorporate it into the Signage Studio and Signage Player. Next, we'll jump into BannerSnack. BannerSnack is a free solution that allows you to create really nicely animated slides and animated banners. You can take those banners and export them into a SWF and import those SWF into our system. Keep in mind, BannerSnack is a free solution. However, anytime you want to produce a final SWF, you will need to pay for that. And BannerSnack, much like Flypaper, allows you to create a presentation and export that presentation into a SWF file. So let's go ahead and preview this presentation that we have here. And again, this is an interactive presentation. You can have buttons, and it's nicely animated. Let's go ahead and just click on cancel. Now, what I like about BannerSnack is the fact that it has really nice pre-made transitions. So for example, if I select this particular slide, I can do a transition, and let's go ahead and just review some of the available transitions. As you can see that they have a lot of different transitions that you can choose from, really nicely animated, and they're very easy to use. So if I, for example, select the center rotation, and again we'll go ahead and click on the play, you see that the center rotation played out. And also, just like PowerPoint, BannerSnack has nice build-ins and build-outs. So if, for example, I select this object right here, I can do build-in right here, and again there are many build-ins and build-outs you can choose from. Also very nice animation. So if I just pick one and again press play, you see that the animation played out just as I selected it. Now, as I mentioned earlier, BannerSnack is free, but if you want to produce a SWF out of your presentation, you will need to pay for that. So for that, you'll actually click on publish, and you'll click again on publish, and you'll be able to save the SWF into a file that you can upload to our system. But again, keep in mind that you'll need to review BannerSnack prices to see exactly how much it costs to do just that. Next, I'm going to go ahead and upload the SWF just like I did with Flypaper. Click on the file from local, select the SWF file, moving banner. And again, very important, before I click on the file save, just like before, I want to make sure that I select the file and select the third-party SWF. And now that the file has uploaded, I can click on the moving banner.swif and see that it's nicely animated just like before, and interact with the SWF just as I would expect. To use the SWF, I can switch back to my timelines, go to the resources, drag it to the timeline, double click to preview it, and you can see that it plays just as I would expect on the timeline. And also, this is a pure vector file, so it scales nicely to any size. So it doesn't matter how small or how big you run it, it's always going to scale nicely. So that's also a nice benefit of the BannerSnack content. So as you can see, there are many options for creating content within the Signage Studio. I hope you enjoyed this presentation, and if you have any questions, just talk to our support team.